Hello and welcome back to Jönköping Major here. As we start to get our teams confirmed, we maybe have one more ahead of us. On the left is Fury, on the right is BDS, on the right is me, on the left is you, Happen Fluke.
It doesn't change. We just keep... Okay, so it changed once in Berlin.
Yep.
Fun fact.
Because you were scared of heights.
I was scared of heights, and I was afraid I would fall over the balcony at some point. So that's why we were swapped around at that point. We're back in the normal way of things. But yes, it is going to be BDS going up against Fury. BDS, one of the actual European teams now where our hope relies upon, because Eminem. Heroic did a bit of an just now. So Wolves is qualified. We got that going for us. Let's see if BDS can as well.
But it's also the same story here for APAC, where obviously Sandbox, their run is over. Yep. Cyclops, their run is still going. There's been some fight. Direwolves as well. But Fury, I guess, okay. Well, we find ourselves in this tricky situation. They were not going to entirely come in, you know, as a sort of hot favorite. It's fresh international experience. You obviously have some fresh play here and some fresh setup. I9, you may know him as Napier from previous setups, but still, the rest here on the boards. Can they try and put some damage down to BDS?
Now, BDS is finding themselves in that tricky situation where they currently are third in their group. Space Station is just above them, not on points, but in terms of round differential. 3 extra rounds. So BDS, they basically need to make sure that they win their games today, whilst getting as many rounds as they possibly can without losing as many as possible. So they need to overtake Space Station around differential, and they need to get those rounds in. That is going to be a tough ask. BDS, they need to make sure that they pull that off. They're not playing each other for set spot, because the next game BDS will be having after it is going to be W7M, who are basically all a point away from confirming themselves first seed.
W7M, I mean, they've played fantastically. They've had moments. They know it's going to be a fight right now. So this, for the team that can't quite make it in Fury, what do BDS have to set themselves up for? Where does this fight become? Because the distance now between BDS and where they want to be is arguably for them still set in that game later on today.
Yep.
If this starts to get out of hand, it could entirely shape how this group ends up.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, W7M is going to be playing Space Station Gaming right now, which means that if W7M takes a full victory against Space Station, and BDS will win that one as well, it is going to be coming down to that last very matchup. So that is something to keep track of. So BDS is expected to win here against Fury. This is a game they need to win. Space Station is going up against Fury after this as well. So if you leave those points behind now, you truly leave it in the pockets of Space Station to qualify themselves. So a lot of stakes here. I believe there is even a world where Fury can still make it.
I mean, we'll get it. Like, it's possible.
It's possible, but it's going to be we're not going to be going into that too much now, but it requires some 7-0s to come through.
You actually had a wonderful sheet.
Yeah, I had a wonderful sheet.
All of this broken down that was handed to you. It. Specifically, it was handed to you by Sprabuni.
See,
I'm not going to throw Wrath into this because he could have offered it.
I was going to say...
Sprabuni, I know you're up there listening.
As well, so...
Yes, Sprabuni, I know you're up there listening. Oregon, their Fury removed Cafe, which is where these two teams met in the first showdown, was 7-4 to BDS. Oregon instead of Skyscraper. I mean, both can be sort of played by BDS. I think Skyscraper is probably a little bit more of a risk for them of the two. They want to hit Oregon. Oregon probably, you know, Fury's got themselves set up.
Fury has played Oregon against W7M in the first day, which was their opening game for the tournament as well. At that point, they started off on the attack, only had the opportunity to take 2 attacking rounds and a single defensive round away from the Brazilian team, which of course put them down on a 7-3 loss. So that is something that they hope to improve on here against BDS. Again said, their hopes are not done yet. It is looking very dire, but there is an opportunity, and they will fight for it. But the same goes for BDS. They know what they have to do. They are here back at the international stage after missing out on Berlin with a renewed roster. Lakevac coming to the lineup here. So hoping that works.
We've just... Fun facts about Hap.
Oh,
that's a new segment in the top right. Let's have the fun fact.
No, so I joked to Bartosz, which is why it's empty. There's no fun facts about me. Okay, so what I sent to Bartosz is like, fun facts about me. And I said, that's it. There's nothing more than that.
No fun fact about you?
Oh, there is. I've actually sent them afterwards.
Okay. The first fun fact about you is that there's no
fun facts about
fun fact about you. Maybe that's why Sprabuni handed you the note and not me. Sprabuni, I still haven't forgotten, unlike Hap did with the note, which has all of the wonderful breakdowns that they've done of what exact round point percentage will mean what. And you don't remember any of it.
Well, the percentages I don't. I'm not remembering from the top of my head, but I can like I just said what needs to be happening for BDS to qualify. Just mention what needs to happen for Space Station to qualify. There is a world where it can be done after this game. That the Space Station gets 7-0, well, 7-1, 7-0. BDS gets a 7-0, 7-1 loss. That way, the round differential will be too big to bridge, and the Space Station could be qualified. Not the other way around due to the extra round differential.
Well, I now have it
again
sent to me.
Okay, have I got it sent to me as well? I did, yes.
Fury is eliminated. If they lose 6 rounds, they are also eliminated if SSG and BDS win 8 or more rounds combined. So if BDS take 4 here and SSG take 4 in the other game, regardless of the result, that is it. Because it becomes round difference. BDS is eliminated if they and W7M win less than 4 rounds combined.
There you have it. There's many like 7-1s, 7-2s even coming in. So, yeah. So BDS, they need to make sure that they take a victory here. Capitao, the first one to be removed off the board, will be by Fury.
Yep, Capitao's gone. Ying has the quick follow-up, and Oregon. Okay, as you said, we've seen it a little bit. We get a true taste of it, and we get to see how things come together in the breakdown. I'm super curious to see what kind of BDS play we get. They were a team that was more than happy to sort of blow for blow with W7M yesterday. They were throwing themselves into these kind of aggressive engagements. There was a pace that was applied. I'm curious to see if we get a little bit more of that here against a Fury team that, you know, it's not that they've been entirely missed. It's had some hit moments. They've pushed some teams closer and closer to the brink.
Let's see if they can do that here as well. Now, bans are different compared to the last time Fury played here on Oregon. Capitao and Mai both weren't banned before. Mai, of course, an operator that BDS likes to remove themselves from time to time as well, but clearly shows that Fury is willing to play the nade game as well, only having to worry about that Jaeger. Potentially Syria laser gates. I mean, they do catch projectiles as well. Sometimes nades have to be sacrificed. In terms of the HP, that is worth just a little bit more for these players. And we're starting off in a laundry. Extensions are being set up. We have Lycolis playing on that mirror. What we sometimes see is that one is being kept in pocket just to try and figure out, okay, where are they coming from? Is there going to be an early push from the barrels? If so, we put it up on the E-box. If that doesn't happen, we'll make sure we have one watching towards laundry and one watching towards the freezer. So maybe Lycolis is going to keep them in pocket. Not quite sure yet. At least the prep phase is going to be ending, so we'll find that soon.
So one of the things that it's sort of worth bringing up just before we get into this on their previous game was that the Fury defense was easily their worst half. It was a 3-3 on the opener when they were on their attack on Cafe, and then they got to the opposite side. Suddenly things started to fall off. They were only able to pull 1 defense before BDS sort of rocked them with the 4 attack wins and took the map itself. So I guess we'll see if we get a bit of growth here. There's a quick bit of drone pressure. As I said, I'm curious to see what kind of BDS we get. Sometimes we've seen them be a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical. They are more than happy to play the game in front of them, though. They'll change, they'll adapt, they'll bring the heat when they need to, or step into a little bit of control. And here, with how the Fury players are slightly set up, the loose play towards the top of tower, the spread and the run around freezer stairs. Oh, they're looking for the fight, and they find it. Lycolis, he's able to take care of Likifak.
I saw it being tossed up by Lycolis as it quickly headed back towards his mirror window. The buck coming through. That's basically just giving them the cue. Blow it up now, because otherwise it's going to be destroyed. Right now there is someone quite close. It's as good as it's going to get. And it was just that. Likifak taken out early. That's a buck gone. Luckily not a lot of verticality that needs to be done for this site for BDS. Still an early loss of a gunner, though. The backstairs are being pushed by Elems, though. He's quickly going to see if he can find an aggressive angle towards the pillar. There's no one out there from Fury as of yet, though, which does provide a bit of security to Elems. He has the opportunity to play a bit more aggressive now.
BDS just going to slowly work the Maverick, the lesser seen operator now and again, with the possibility of Kaid on the board though. You've got to try and do something that assures you breaking through these hatches. Whether it was the repick, he's still going to happily burn and burrow his way through the top of the hatch and start to try and apply the pressure down. A minute 14, and without Likefak, the puck's not going to have the biggest impact in terms of the rush towards the site itself. However, Likefak often does have the biggest impact of a round.
Mute Jammer on the corner there is going to stop any of the RC Retiros actually reaching the shield that has been placed down in elbow. That's another piece of utility just taken down there. BDS is struggling a bit. It's actually going to be I9 pushing up with the pistol, but gets punished down by BDS. Man advantage stays for Fury.
Well, here comes the drop. Renshiro gets one on the back of 3 versus 2 versus 2. Lycolis does find one down the long corridor. Lems is tucked onto pillar. It's around the swing, and BDS is going to see if he can try and stick the plant. Hajime, he's ready for the fight onto pillar. Loses it out. Just leaves nobody. Lems with the end to that round. A bit of a stretch. And a bit of a warning and a waking for BDS in the first round.
It started off well for Fury there. I mean, they found themselves with a 2-minute advantage at some point in the round, but BDS again have that opportunity to just pull that trigger, to just push through. And they thrive in that chaos every now and then. Really make sure they caught off their Fury players off guard and had the opportunity to go for the plant. Sound cue probably not coming through, otherwise you would not have swung around on the actual pillar side of things. You'd move back, see if you could take the fight from the actual door in that freezer hallway. This is that C4 we talked about, just tossed up. The skeleton key starts blasting it. There's no other option then to blow it up at that point. And he found success for it, so we'll be more than happy with it. Unfortunately, not the round. Fury needing to go back and going up towards the top floor now. See if they can get it here.
Forgetting the opening 2 bodies to BDS having a bit of a shutdown. That's that control game I talk about. They know how to play what is ahead of them. They know when to sort of put the pressure on, when to pull it back. And you could see instantly as soon as the fight started on the stairs, the pressure wanted to come down from BDS. He knew he had to try and move in the wake of what was being made around him, whether it was the pillar fight, whether it was the one down on the swing on blue from Renshiro, which was actually where the body dropped. Well, it's something they've got to react to. They've got to act to it. And that's, you know, a game you sort of pick apart here steadily. Sometimes if you think you've got an advantage, BDS will choose to pull that back. That was an entirely locked wall with a mirror window.
Yeah, I was going to point that out. Yeah. There's no way you're going to be able to use that mirror window and actually challenging that big window.
Unless you pop it.
Unless you pop it. But what you could do is provide some information. I9 starts it off, takes down Likefak early on with that one, Mike. Again, Likefak to drop. He's playing on that knock. Didn't check his corner onto the laundry stairs and loses his life as a result. And then going back towards the mirrors, the other one has been placed in attic, in pit, watching towards that trophy room. So they really want to be, well, putting some pressure onto BDS, giving a bit of anxiety as they want to jump in at some parts of the map, knowing they are in full view of their opponents.
Now this sort of hold probably has a lot of pressure onto Hajime, and a lot of pressure's coming onto him. He's going to see if he can try and lock down underneath the window and underneath the side itself, but he is isolated. There's Shaiko, steadily making his way up, just checking there's nothing tucked onto the top corner. He's looking for anyone onto security corridor. There's always the risk someone rotates up from underneath. There's always the chance he can hit that hatch if it's open and rotate down. But Shaiko likely to toss a grenade in, just bounced off the precipice of the door itself. He's concerned about the swing, but if they get this player, suddenly they have a very good road through onto the site. Alems is tucked watching the shower corridor. There's that rotate from I9 I talked about. He's heading up freezer stairs. Dark suffers the grenade. Bounce around. Shaiko locks off Dark. Not sure if that was on the top of White. Yeah, there it was.
Shaiko trying to go towards the next now, but I9 has came in to support Hajime. Want to be making sure security stays under control. Alems falls again. Body count still in favor of Fury. Shiro seeing if he can find at least a responsive grenade to be sending deep towards the rotation that is taking place. But Lycolis from above shuts down BDS. That's a diffuser dropped, and you hear the mirror window pop. So now they have an opportunity to challenge that big window, I believe.
Hajime is slowly losing space, but look at the time that's ticked away. Some great bodies taken away, and all the focus onto that single player with the support structure I talked about. It can still strike. Hajime's tucked. Puts Ranchero to bed, and Shaiko, he finally wins out at least a bit of ground there, but without the kit, without the time, he doesn't have a huge amount he can do. Here's a bit of running underneath, hopes to get a lucky swing round, but nobody's offering anything as of yet. Looks away at the worst possible time, and the crossfire has a quick cleanup. Fury bounce back with a round for a round.
As keeping up the pressure onto BDS here. Again, we mentioned it before, BDS, they basically need a victory here, knowing that Space Station is going up against W7M now, but also Fury later. That means that they do not have the opportunity to go head-to-head against Space Station to lock it off for a spot in the playoffs. And that means they need to do it here and then see what they can do against W7M later, which will be equaling and basically bettering the result that was put up by Space Station. And as we go on, it is that 1-to-1 scoreline. BDS basically getting stuck into the setup of Fury there. We saw those mirror windows being set up. We didn't see them fully come into play, especially not the one that was aimed towards Trophy, because no one was coming from Trophy. And also the one that was set up from the big window, because also not real any pressure coming down from there. But it forced BDS to try and take control of security, knowing there's a shotgun playing underneath. And that was that pivotal point. Like, the entire setup played around Hajime in security there, finding those kills successfully. That's what got them that round. It's not something you can continue to rely on. So they need to continue innovating here against BDS. That is being spotted out by the drone. Luckily for Fury, no Amaru on the board.
Yeah, no one quite quick enough to get the swing round there. They are going to see if they can get some instant response pressure across it, get control of tower, and that's generally the step up here. When you have Ossa on the board, you know what take's going to happen. First step, pop open attic, have an Ossa shield set up watching it so you can clear the second step, the stage itself, and the same back door, try and get a plant on it after baiting out and wasting some utility. The 3 smokes and a C4 are what's on the board in front of you, but still, it's a quick, isolated process.
I think that someone will be shut out at some point. I mean, they're waiting for an EMP impact to come through now, but BDS is falling off. They're not wanting to stick around. They're just putting it down as a bit of a, you know, we can still use this if we do have an EMP impact available later on, but just not pushing for it now. Attic, somewhat taken under control. At least it has been opened up. They have the talent shield as well to look over it, but the hatch is still going to be closed, so there's no verticality really coming down from that way. That is something they might want to actually try and aim for. Talent shields are being redeployed. Fury is realizing what the plant is most likely going to be, so they need to be repositioning themselves as well.
The Flores going to start doing some busy work here from the pockets of Alems. There's
Mute Jammer again.
A well-played Mute Jammer. They sort of know and expect this game, and look at that, caught out on the other side. Missed. The impact DMP a bit too short. That one caught on ADS. There's the roll, and there it is popping. Will it get off in time before the jammer comes back to life? Yes, that might free up the second, but the fight is Shaiko's on the stage itself. I9 went adventurous, and look at the adventure happening over the top. They're even eyeing up maybe a fight over Attic. There's that Ossa I talked about before. They have some cover. There's smoke canisters, but that won't break the shield, and Liquefact finally finds his first. He gets the kill over the trade on the back. He's watching deep. Not for very long though. Dark with the response out of kitchen. Focuses all the fire background. There's almost a rotate underneath, but I think Hajime sniffed out the danger and instead pulls back. One more in the pockets here of Lysolis to buy himself a little bit more time. He gets a great take onto the side of Alems, and he moves up, gets into a new position. Unexpected, he hopes. As long as that Mute Jammer stays sturdy, that Flores drone will not pop off.
Now the fact that the hatch in Attic has not been opened up is going to be hurting BDS. They do not have a way to take him out except for swinging close onto the shotgun. It's like Carlos said, that takes out another and another. Shaiko drops by the shotgun. It's only up to Renshiro now in a 1v3 situation. Diffuser has been dropped. BDS, they set themselves up, but they could not get the kills. With 10 seconds left on the clock, that's probably not going to be happening either. There should be a second Fury round to be coming into play as Hajime locks it off with a good hold from Fury. And again, Attic opened up, no hatch control though. That means they can dig in. That means they can just keep tossing in these pieces of utility, and you lose it out on the back of it.
I mean, I said it before, the thing that you got to try and bait out there is the smoke. apparently you got to do it with the man as well. Fantastically played drive there. Able to get himself a huge triple kill on the back of knowing that he cannot just hand this territory over, because as soon as he do, they're going for the plant, and then you're just trying to fire through a shield that does not take bullets. The pressure was kept on. BDS were not allowed the ability to move back behind that shield. They weren't allowed the chance to try and get that plant stuck on the far end of it, and they had nothing to try and dismount the far edge. Even though the Flores took care of all the ADSs that were tucked on the corner, they couldn't find the swing with the grenade potential towards that back line and end.
See, this was what I was going to be pointing out. The utility usage of BDS currently is very sloppy. The Flores drones keep on being caught up by mute jammers. It's not the first one we saw just now. Every single round it happens with one or two. EMP Impact gets used to see if they can maybe get around it, but then a third ADS in the same corner is going to be catching off the utility coming through. That's because the EMP Impact slightly misplaced, not quite hitting the mark. BDS is kind of struggling, and you know, the beautiful thing is, Emmy, Thatcher is open, right? If you're struggling that much with clearing out utility like mute jammers, like ADSs, you could go for Thatcher. And yes, you need to be sacrificing another operator for it, but at the same time, you wouldn't need to have Brede playing onto the Maverick, because you can double EMP, you can then use the X-Gyros. There's no way a Cade could even keep those hatches closed on Laundry. So I'm just, you know, offering an alternate solution here for BDS, because the current utility play seems to be a bit sloppy, and if they don't improve on that, well, maybe Thatcher is going to be the solution.
All right, BDS. All right, BDS. All right, I know. Okay, that was a little bit of a moment. We'll take it back. As Lem's caught out. Liquefact finds Dark. I9, I think, missed through the C4. Picked it back up, and Renshiro finds I9 in the rotate round. For what started as a sudden fight outside the building turned into a bite back right inside. BDS did not want to have a sort of placid response here, and they're going to keep swinging and pushing and hoping they can catch somebody else on the end of it. They lost one. We will take two of yours, and we're going to make sure we do it in a bit of pressure on the site. Hajime, he's a man who knows this too well. He was the pressure that was applied before, and he's got backup this time around. They're going to see if they can push the advantage, and PJ Man is the one that has the lockdown onside the Laundry approach. Liquefact still unable to truly get the momentum in the train rolling as long as they keep him subdued. Fury are in a good position, but 3 versus 3.
Again, the mirror window's coming into play now. One watching Freezer is basically going to be neutralizing Renshiro from truly moving up safely. The other one is going to be watching the Laundry side of things. The 3 remaining players of BDS only have one real option. That is to go from the E-box. That is to go from barrels. There's currently no real utility watching that except for maybe a shield that they need to deal with. A shield's still easier to deal with than that mirror window, though. So that is seemingly what they will opt to go for here. But they need to be on point, they need to be synchronized, they cannot afford to give them these 1v1s because Fury has proven in this matchup so far they can take these fights head on against the top fraggers of BDS.
Well, they're getting a lot of intel here on the fact that the hold has pulled itself back, but that's the giveaway that they're trying to lean themselves in. Shaiko missing one grenade. It would be perfect timing here, and unfortunately no one else is there, but Renshiro has the gun to swing around. They've got themselves the default plant spot. Do they know about the one in Freezer? They know about that man, though. Caught the head off. Brede's going to see if he can stick the kit. Lysolis has a huge moment. Unfortunately shut down. Renshiro brings the balance back 2-2. And we see now BDS starting to step into the heat that Fury want to bring.
Good coordination in the end there. Shaiko spotting out the player, saying there is one stuck in this corner. He's not crouched, he's not prone. How do you know that? Well, if you're crouched, your body like widens up a little bit. He would have been able to see that knee. If he was prone, well, maybe the same way, or at least he would have heard that sound coming through. So he was standing up, gave the ping, teammates come through, sweep him up. And as he moves into the objective, he saw like a slither of the head. Pre-fires it, gets that kill. Suddenly the round seemingly locked out for BDS, and they find themselves at 2-2. Fury, still 2 rounds on the defense though. They're still in the good mix of things. It's just starting to get dangerous when they get over towards the attack. That's when everything needs to connect against BDS as well. So they need to make sure to pick up as many rounds as they possibly can out of these next 2.
You kinda, you know, I guess it really depends where your heart is on this. I'm not going to say everybody kind of wants it back and forth here when 6-0's are the results that are after it, and it's obviously a game that also matters on the other stream. But still, as an observer of just wanting these regions to be competitive. Fury, a team that is here on their first sort of international experience, a team that people, you know, didn't expect to do in terms of getting out of the groups, just to get here, get experience, even from the words of the beloved Apex Southcasters, that are very full of them and very full of the region, as they should be. But here, putting pressure onto BDS, who, if anything, are the opposite of that conversation. A team that were once heralded as favorites, dropped out of favoritism by quite a margin, and are trying to reassert themselves. There was huge expectation.
So League of Facts join that roster. I want to mention, by the way, again, the mirror windows have been set up the exact same as they were before. That means one is going to be active inside of the attic pit, watching them if they want to push a trophy. There's also that shield watching that master bedroom, so it's going to be quite difficult for BDS to truly take control of the current take they want to go for. And the solution to that, of course, would be get attic under control. Find yourself an angle where you can take out the mirror player or the mirror window itself, so they do not have that bit of security, that bit of safety that they can use to then stop the players on the master bedroom side. So you want to be attacking from two sides, and that's what BDS is trying to set up here.
League of Facts doing some well-rehearsed work here, and LMs takes their head off through it. There is the player underneath. If they try and push, they might get caught out. Shaiko does inside trophy on the opposite end, and that's actually the key for I9 to pull back. The door isn't being directly watched. There's someone flicking on a drone, though, and it's Renshiro that's actually going to take that moment to try a rotate. I9 might be able to punish him depending on how this goes, but instead pulls himself back. He's watching from underneath. If this goes uncontested and unchecked, he might be able to pick up something surprising onto the back line. Alems had to retake the position Shaiko lost to try and apply some flat pressure here, and the French pressure's coming across. League of Facts hesitates by the top of the open hatch. There is nothing in terms of explosives underneath, but there's always the chance that a player might get explosive up on the back end. They're holding for now, but there's 45 seconds. Someone has to break this deadlock. Who's going to be the one that takes the first movement?
Actually quite intrigued to see where that second mirror window is, because that other wall was reinforced opposite where it's supposed to be. Lacolla's drops though, and that is going to be an entry that BDS need to try and push through. There's still Fury members all around the site that need to be picked up. Hajime drops, and now one is off site, one is on site. They could try and push for a plant here.
Brede is looking where it's safe to go. He tucks in, so they just have to watch the swing onto white stairs. They have the window, they have the top of the stairs. BDS once again have the lead. It's been back and forth, but that is technically the only one they've won outside of Laundry. So there's still a chance if Fury to bounce back.
There is that opportunity, of course, meeting potentially up next or Laundry. One of those two is going to be decided upon during the tactical timeout they have just called. They think they need those 45 seconds. As mentioned before, things start to get scary when they get on their attack, because that is when it all needs to be 100% accurate against BDS. Now they have the opportunity to at least get that extra round on their defense, buy themselves a bit of a buffer as they look to find some points themselves. And if we're going back quickly towards the sheet that was given, was it 8 rounds in a row? Not 8 rounds in total that needed to be gained over these 2 matches for Fury to be eliminated?
Yes, so
2 already have been gained here by BDS. So depending on how the other game is going, they might find themselves knocked out at the end of it anyway. 3, I mean, sorry. So 5 more over this in the other game.
Maths is confusing.
Maths is confusing, yes. Choice been made is going to be Laundry back towards the bottom floor. It has been won by BDS before. So
both times?
Both times.
Both times.
It's making it scary.
I mean, that's the thing right now is, what do Fury think was missing? Because, okay, the first round, the first swing was a good sort of execute from the side of BDS. They got in, get aggressive. The second one, they were off to the first disadvantage, and then BDS bit back. So, okay, it goes to BDS by the end of it. And you're thinking, okay, Fury, what is the missing trick from your guys' perspective? Your guys booked to not go to dorms. Do you think your dorms hold was sussed, and you weren't quite able to sort of crack together a new idea? Do you think this one still has some legs, or there might be some changes potentially to come out?
The thing is, right, they found themselves in a 3v3 situation at the end of it, but the smoke player got too close to the corner. They knew where he was. They were able to quickly isolate him, and after that you just open up the entire bomb site. Like, you can just walk in, waltz over them, Was that a player from BDS already in elbow? No, I was going to say, I thought for a second I saw some blue going on right there, but he...
It's a little quick, but they are stacked for something a little quick. Look at this. All of them are prepped for a fresh new take. All the players of Fury are fresh new hold. If I'm going to talk about what's changed, it seems like all of them inside this ground floor. Whether BDS trust this or not, either way, they wanted to go for something a bit direct. The grenade over the top of barrels right towards Shaiko is able to do some spray damage on the back end of Hajime, who slips his way out just tucked underneath the stairs itself. Shaiko's bought some ground at the cost of 2 grenades and some damage done to Hajime, but Alems is the sneak round with Likifak going for the pinch. They seem to have an idea, Nook. Oh, but you almost had to scratch back onto them. It's a bit back and forth there. You pull back. Nobody's quite been dropped as of yet. Obviously, this was after the Fury tack timeout, so they have a bit of a conversation, but still, BDS are prodding and poking this defense.
It's definitely pushing Lycola's back a little bit. He wanted to go aggressive up those laundry stairs, but wasn't able to find a success. Stefan are not quite far down the stairs. But if you look at Likifak, he's already completely rotated off. He's coming back down the back staircase now, hoping to put up some pressure onto Hajime. There's no ADS close to him either, so if a grenade comes around the corner like he did for I9, they might be able to just lock them off as we go.
BJ Man has the cover onto 1 and onto 2. Shaiko goes down 2, but Bride has Dark on the corner and is going to try and put the pressure around. It also came down on the stairs. Hajime was caught out by Likifak, and Alems sits and waits inside Laundry in a 1 versus 1 showdown. Who is the catch? It is Alems, just hits the DMR. It's BJ Man gone too. I9, he's been dropped once this round. He's got to see if he can kind of keep himself up with a minute left. Alems goes for a big rotate. They have all the time in the world, and he does exactly the same thing. We talked about being the old experienced hand brought onto the international stage here. He's against 3 that, well, their experience is sort of a bit mixed, but in the pockets of Alems, he is one of the 2 people that has been to the most majors alongside Rise from Wolves. You can't really get more experienced than that. Bride's going to see if he can stick it. He's going to just get himself down onto the default. The pings are there and continual. The fight down long isn't the one we see.
I marked it down as the first plant to go down, but he was about 0.2 seconds short. So that's not happening, but a 2-4 lead is going to be there for BDS. The tactical timeout they called on Fury, not going to be successful in the end there. Not able to translate Laundry into a round victory due to the fact that they basically locked themselves out. They gave BDS so much space to just go for it. And I'm not quite sure if it's due to the fact that they were maybe a bit too aggressive here and there. I mean, the first kill came down onto Hajime, who wasn't Harry Potter. If he could have stuck there, grenade would have followed. There was no ADSs near, so he had to do something. And unfortunately, no success. BDS, though, they will start it off on Laundry themselves. They were able to win it 3 times on their attack. They think they can instantly start this off strong on their defense as well.
They have that round boost, they have that slight advantage now that they can try and put the pressure onto here. They are known for defending this map very well. When you have a player who's named after a spot, you would assume that. You would assume they've got a couple of plays they can do.
Yes, right. I mean, Shaiko does have quite a lot of spots named after him, of course, but it's... this one's in particular. He often plays around it, uses that door to stop anybody from coming in barrels. At the same time, likes to be challenging the E-box hatch, and at the same time, the back stairs as well. The more angles you give him to play with around a central bit of cover, the happier he is.
They've got themselves otherwise a pretty standard hold here. The slide extension up tower stairs is going to pull back. The pressure that might come through from the Lion here and the Blitz is what I'm most curious to see. It's a quick rush. I9's the first through the door and Dark's the first off the board. The Blitz goes too. Likifak was not going to be surprised by that. It was an all-in rush and they're almost all out. La Solis is the only one to find a soul on the back end there, and Shiro is caught out. And with a slow rotation up, he thought there might be someone rotating down. Hajime is there to offer some support. They have the pocket breach to be able to pop open. Nothing. There's a Kaid Claw there. It's going to stop any of that route through. They do not have the pocket EMPs. Everything was put into that short change run, and unfortunately they came out short changed.
The K being brought by BDS is going to be stopping that, as you just mentioned. It's actually quite funny because Fury didn't bring that at any of their given defenses. Even though BDS did not run the Hibana but kept using that Maverick. Either way, plenty of time here for Lycolas and Hajime to work together, see if they can force open this site, get a kill. Certainly it's a lot more doable. Find a second, and you have an opportunity of winning that round. Shield's being spotted out. It's not going to be helping them too much, but it's a potential position where a player might be. See a lot of communication going on right now from Fury. Just holding off on some of these angles. Maybe someone will come for a bit of an aggressive push, but BDS is holding tight. This is the experience as well. They don't want to go like frag hunting right now. They respect Fury. As I mentioned, they have to if they want to make sure that they get this victory. When they start getting overconfident against Fury, Fury might be able to punish them for it. So them just holding their angles, staying put, that is exactly what they need to do. Like Collis gets picked up, he hoped to go for a very aggressive and snappy shot, but isn't able to land it. And it's only up to Hajime. Complete entrance smoked off. 50 seconds left on the clock. Using that spear, hoping to go for pre-fires, but again, BDS just staying patient.
They know where he is. They know where he is. They know what he's trying to do, and that's the bad thing about a rush. If you take a gamble and it does not pay off, then you find yourselves with a lot of time left to kill, and actually not a lot of bullets. He's only really got about 3 clips left.
There's 4 people watching him.
Yeah, there's only so many angles you can pre-fire here. 30 seconds. He's hoping he can get gifted one out the door. You assume the team has taken this moment to talk. Another smoke canister just to make things even tougher. But this is, without some sort of incident, a 5-2 here for BDS. They put the difference down. They put themselves 2 rounds away from securing the points. They put themselves 2 rounds away from ending Fury's run.
C4 came in the end. That actually lasted quite long before they decided to toss that piece of utility. And that's going to be the end of that round. Not based on time, but based on kills. You see the smiles there on the Lems. They also know that, okay, that has gone quite well. That is rush 1 averted. And that is finding yourselves 2 rounds away from the full points. And again, depending on how the other game is going, might be decisive on how eventually it ends. If Space Station wins that, it is going to be very difficult for BDS to still be able to catch up, because their round differential and them winning against W7M is going to be crucial. And as we get going, we are headed towards the top floor, towards the bedrooms. Frost is being brought out, shields are being set up. They want to be holding around Armory and the master bedroom. Stop them from truly pushing in. That rotation you see in the walk-in closet towards games is also going to be crucial to it. You might even have a shotgun playing quite close there, that as soon as they do get in, they get blasted off the back of the map and, you know, not really giving them the opportunity to push in. That is going to be putting Fury under a lot of pressure, trying to find that entrance that will work for them.
5 seconds to insert.
There's this point now for BDS where they can just ride this game out. Obviously, the bigger the round difference, the better it works for them in the grand scheme of things. There's always still the chance of another game played later on today, but it can start to dictate things if it is as wide as it could possibly end at this moment in time. Fury, similar story, trickier pill to swallow here. They've got to now not drop, I believe, a single round if they want to keep the fight on. So it's got to be pitch perfect from the team from APAC South.
And they might already be basically out based on how the other game is going, right?
It might. We do not know.
We do not know at this
moment in time. You all at home who can watch.
Neither does Fury, so we all know the same thing.
Yeah. In this lobby right now, we're all.
There's everything still to play for.
Renshiro, he's got a lot to play for here. There's 3 people stacked up outside this door. There's 1 not too far away, and the other's putting pressure onto Armory. They know what they want to take first, and he knows that he's not going to try and risk it. Pulls himself back and gets themselves at least some territory there. It was a good drive from the utility here from Fury. They knew what they wanted to take, and they made sure they took it pretty powerfully. They're watching and waiting for somebody to maybe rotate their way back up the bottom. Dark's just going to hold off here and keep some awareness. I think there was somebody watching the double door, so the other 3 players are going to see if they can try and put some pressure elsewhere.
Big tower player has just been spotted out. That window is open. Hajime is going to be holding it in a very tight angle, hoping to shut down Alems, who of course has the opportunity to put some pressure down onto the Armory staircase from these windows if he wants to. So Hajime is in a good position here to stop that from happening. Leakefak on a very tight angle is going to be trying to make sure he finds I9 if they push through, but he's receiving some pressure from the actual game's window to come through. But he's not sure if it was from above or from the actual rappel. But he also doesn't want to move at this point, so he's basically just stuck.
Well, there's BG Man, still finding bodies. He's been consistent across the game so far. He's now going to see if there is Any of the pressure coming out as the hop in as I9 goes for the slow and steady creep. He's not quite been caught out yet. Pre-fires one side, gives a bit of the position away. The fight comes back towards him from two different angles, but it's a very narrow one. Dark, he gets one. Alems gets one back, but it's picked up on the rotate. Suddenly, Lickefak and Alems, all that's left. The fight on the window, but look at where the kid is. They have time, but they've got to still recollect it. Alems pulls himself back, goes for the fight out the window, but it's pre-fired and angled. He just keeps going in with scrapes and scratches against each other. It will reveal there's only one player currently on site. Alems has to fight his way back round. He finally wins it out, but Lysolus is going to see if he can get the plant put down. There is some cover coming through. They know they have an angle though, and Lickefak's able to punish them via it. 20 seconds, a 2 versus 2. The fight scrappy over the side of Dorms. That's the concern of the rotate that we talked about not being open before. It's a fight now, and it's one that Lickefak wins out. BG Man, he's able to get one more off the back of it. A final fight tucked around the corner. He cannot quite find it. We asked why he had a slow start to the game. He's more than happy to have a big end. Lickefak gets a huge round.
A 2v4 clutch coming down there from the side of BDS. They lost most of their ground, they lost most of their players, but they stayed put. They skirmished themselves around. They did not wait for the rest of Fury to come in. You saw them move around, and that's important in those situations. You take these small fights, but you do not fully commit to it. You try and, you know, take up as much as the HP as possible, and at some point you saw every single player in the map was just a single bullet away. At that point, it is just who pulls that trigger faster, who gets that first initial hit in, that is going to be getting away with it. 6-2 BDS. One more round and they find themselves with those 3, but more importantly, what it eventually will come down to almost certainly in this map and in this group is the round differential. If BDS lock it off now, it is going to be +5. That will elevate them above Space Station Gaming based on the results before these matches started.
BDS. I mean, there was a moment there where it was the 2 versus 4 disadvantage and you pulled out a clutch. As I said, for what was a slow start for Lickefak, he now finds himself 12-4. It's not been as big as the round we just had there with the kills he got, but still, he was the terrifying factor. If you're Fury, you did not want to pop off, and probably the same if you're SSG on the other stream as well. So, can he find that last little fight? They find themselves in meeting. We talked about this, the pressure and the pocket EMPs to get this wall opened, and there it is. It means that the hold on the back end, if you go for the stage plant, is tougher to hold.
So they want to go for a dark push here, right? So they want to make sure that they get that under control. They will put down the Talon Shield right next to Split. If you do that and if you keep that lobby under control, there is a good opportunity to go for the plant because of the lack of other angles that could be used by those defenders, especially if you also have pressure coming down from that stage. The entirety of meeting will basically become unplayable. The thing is, though, Alems is still playing close around range. Shaiko is in the back of that meeting room, so for now it's only going to be a breach, potentially to be used as a support tool for the Fury attack that seems to be coming down onto the stage. So Attic gets opened up. Let's see if Fury is actually going to be trying to make sure... Okay, they do get it. I think they wanted to save the Impact TMP for later on, because now you can have the Electro Claw.
Will this catch that third?
Yes!
Yes! Oh, and that is devastating. We saw the claw play. They thought the wall was safe, but Bride... Oh, he has put more than a stick between the spokes of this plan. They've now got to see if they can strong-arm their way around. They have, obviously, more pocket hard breach, but what they don't have is the pocket EMPs to stop it. Alems, he steps in. They're trying to lean behind Ossa. They're just firing the fight. They see the gunfire come. It's a push down towards Kitchen. Dark, he said, well, we've got to come up with a plan B fast, and he's been a player that's kind of been fast on the draw here, but it's Bride tucked behind the fridge, takes the first body out of the approaching team. BJ Man is still waiting for them to find the claw. They get it locked off, and Hajime is able to get Alems on the back end of it. The breach can come through. They had to get aggressive, and luckily for them, they still had the quick pull to get that shield done without BDS biting back.
Now the hatch can actually be used by Fury here, and Shaiko still in a position that they need to deal with them. Using that hatch should be another solution for it. There you have the talent shield. That is going to be necessary to try and get this plan down. No impact onto Shaiko to try and use. Likafak is the only one with an explosive, but where is he going to be when Shiro is trying to provide some support? That's going to be the Nitro Cell used. They cannot use that now. They need to go for the gunfights onto I9. That attic is being retaken, but the plant is going down.
Traded either side, and they've got themselves on the back end, but they just haven't let the kit go down yet. Where's the watch? It's behind you. Likafak cannot quite find the full fight, and we find ourselves in a post-plant. There it is, though. Fury quickly find the end to that problem, and they fix the problem halfway through the round. Almost suffered by a play and a bit of a bait on utility, but one has been bought. The road is still far from over, though. They've got to try and find another 3.
A lot of time wasted by that one Electro Claw coming through from Fury, because it forced BG Men to come over with the ace to use the Selmas. It was basically in a similar role that Likafak was when they were attacking the same side. Just being on the back, trying to see if he could find a kill or two to at least keep the pressure up onto the backside. Keep them guessing, like where are they actually going to be fully committing to? But he had to come back because of the last exothermic to be caught off. That's what happens when you do not have that full control of the attic yet. Likafak just allowed to toss in, or Bride just allowed to toss in the K-Claw. Impact EMP is being tossed through, but just too late, not able to save it. And again, Thatcher, for example, could have been the alternative. You do that double EMP, there's nothing that will stop you at that moment in time.
Last time we were on this site, it was a very different play and a very different ploy and a pocket attempt. It's not the most out there. Everyone can sort of see when there's a blitz and a Gon 6 ready what the rush is going to be. But here, this is a different approach from Fury. Something with a little bit more Misa in it, something that will probably be a little bit more Misa'd. And they try and find the rhythm. You can see that BDS, they've got themselves the chance of a spread here. They do often have the hold down with some flirts of danger leaning in, but they otherwise are happy to hand over big portions of the map that other players like to often play in.
So now, again, it is going to be that bottom floor which they need to find the entry for. Didn't find it the first time they were here. It was BDS that actually managed to draw the first blood. So it's up to Fury to find a change in that. And we'll start with taking control of that top floor and the middle floor as well. They have to drone that out. They have to see if it's going to be all safe to pass through. As the drones come in, you saw the Electro Claw already being placed on the meeting hatch. There is not going to be a Thatcher. There's not going to be impact EMPs. The Maverick of Lycolis will have to send, well, himself in to start using that blowtorch to open up that hatch. But with a Likafak playing right below it, he might actually be trying to aim for a head with the TCSG, or just send in a Nitro Cell and blow him up as he goes. And if that happens, those hatches will stay closed, and Fury will have to go down the staircases to try, you know, and get those sites under control.
Flores drone rolls right past, does get rid of the Banshee, doesn't quite get the ADS that was tucked in a close wall there, was almost within the range, but there's always more of an opportunity for that. It's a quick drive. Shaiko in the Shaiko spot, it's waiting for the approach. Hajime is droning out the far end, and here comes Maverick. As we said, since he lost the grenades, his pick rate has dropped off massively. He has to play himself in much different positions, and that's the change of the claw. They're going to get that hatch open, so let's reinforce the wall that they otherwise won't be able to. It makes the Shaiko spot much more solid, means it's trickier to get him out of there if you have any ranged hard breach.
Which they don't, but of course BDS doesn't know that at this point. So the hatch has been opened up. They're instantly putting down some rounds to see and make sure that BDS stays away, doesn't instantly lean back into that fight. Hajime rotating around, he's going to be trying to put some pressure down from barrels. It's what you need. You need to have that door open up, especially to keep Shaiko in place, who's looking to go aggressive towards the back stairs here to get over Renshiro.
Well, here comes the first burst, the utility pressure across the back of the site. Likafak wants to step in and see if he can catch the player, and there's one. There's not the response, but Shaiko gets it, and it's back and forth. BG Man is able to find one out of it, but Renshiro has the cover, and instantly Hajime has it right back. It was a bloodshed. The Fury across Fury is trying to find its way through the single fight either side. Now 2 1v1s have appeared out of the mess of what was a hot drop in the core of the site defense. Bride on one end suddenly finds the header one. one swings as they slip past the first line of defense. It's all down to BG Man. He cannot quite get the connection with the first. He's pretty much out of time, and BDS end the run of Fury here, 7-3.
And that is going to be buying them 4 extra rounds in the round differential as well, which is, according to me, probably going to be the decisive factor at the end of this group between themselves and Space Station Gaming. Of course, we do not know how the other stream has been faring so far. We do not know if that game is still ongoing or about to end. BDS, they've done what they needed to do here against Fury. Fury, their dreams will end. They are not going to the playoffs, but they just had their first international experience. It's almost done. They still have a game to play. There's still a win to be gained. So that is what they will set their eyes up on next.
I mean, there were moments here from Fury, but credit to them, it's a massive Cinderella run. It was their chance to get here in what is a stacked APAC South region that's only getting better and better, to have fresh faces and fresh teams. It's always what we want to see. And though it's been a bit of a rocky road, you're in a group with some of the teams that have not only won tournaments over the past 12 months, but some of these players have won the biggest tournament there is. So credit to them. We'll have a breakdown and see what's going on after a quick break.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
And welcome back here inside the cold room on A stream. After that, a pretty cold performance from BDS. It started back and forth. Fury even at one point had the lead, but then it turned into a bit of a French Renaissance period. 7-3. BDS find the 3 points. Fury's run is over. And based on a score that might have happened, the group might be in trepidation as well.
Yeah, we do not know confirmed yet, but when we just checked, spoiler alert, mute yourself, cover your ears, it was 6-2 W7M against SSG at that point. BDS was 3 rounds behind in round differential, like behind Space Station Gaming. So if this does come through, if there is actually going to be the victory for W7M, again, we do not know yet if this happened until we do go towards the standings. it might be that BDS only need a point or a couple of rounds because they might be ahead of round differential after this.
Let's have a quick look at these highlights. And as I said, it started with some highlight plays from Fury. They were able to lean in to the approaches here from BDS. They put a bit of the distance in. BDS, I know some of the big gunners, you can see Liquefac there, he started a bit slow, he couldn't quite find a connection. It was a good shutdown game and some great shutdown rounds. However, around about the third or the fourth round, things really started to turn into a bit of BDS's favor. They tied about 5 rounds in a row before Fury could find at least one back on the tertiary defense side of BDS on stage with some great work, but it was unfortunately a little bit too little and a little bit too late. It turned into a game where BDS had the cool, calm, collected thing that's often gotten them out of groups on the big stage. The pressure for them is not over, as far as we know, but it was a good showing when it was still very hot.
Yeah, for sure, they did everything they needed to do in this game. However, just mentioned it as well, like, round differential is decisive. They have 4 rounds extra now. That puts them over Space Station Gaming based on how the previous result has gone. As BDS has managed to get this victory in, they know there is still a fight to be played. The stats coming through. A clear MVP on the BDS side, it's Liquefac that, even though he had a slow start, still 13 on 6. The rest of the BDS side, pretty evened out.
Yeah, I think that was the sort of thing, really. As we said, it wasn't that they were entirely slow to get into the game. It's that Fury put a lot of pressure down onto them. BDS couldn't quite get that war they love to have with the loose plays of their gunners, the control that they can exert across the map without needing the rest of the support structure. We saw BDS try and warm into it, and they did. They didn't take their attack time out, unlike Fury, who did just before the turn of the half, but it couldn't quite find any success from the back of it. It was a bit of a strong showing there, and you know, it was the first game of the day for BDS. They know how important their follow-up one is here, and as we said before, with how this shakes things up, although they're in a tough position, it's now an impossible position. Fury's run is statistically not leaving groups.
Yeah, they will not be leaving groups. They will be ending it in last place as well, 4th place in the group. So that is unfortunate for them, but let's just pull up that group update so we can truly theory craft on what is coming up next. As you see right there, Space Station Gaming has lost against W7M. There's now 6 rounds between them here, which means that if BDS, for example, like, okay, that comes down to round differential. Let's say Space Station wins, BDS loses, round differential key. There's 6 between them now, so BDS needs to get as many rounds as they possibly can against W7M, whilst hoping Fury does the same. Or, for BDS, a way easier way to qualify, get 6 rounds. You get a point. There's no way Space Station can catch up on you.
If BDS win, it's over. If BDS get to OT, it's over. If BDS roughly probably get about 4 rounds.
It depends on Fury, right? Because
it really depends
between
on Fury.
A 7-0 victory from Space Station basically skyrockets them above BDS.
But unless BDS don't lose so hard, it becomes like there's a lot that's sort of up in the air, because BDS could also lose heavily, and that could be the deciding factor. Space Station might be in a blow-for-blow game. Space Station need 3 points. There's no 2 ways about it as well. They need 3 points, and they need to have a good showing if they want the best possible thing. But they also, whatever was handed to them by W7M in the previous game, they're praying that W7M is still on that. And knowing that roster, they don't slow down for anybody. Their next game, they're going to play just as hard and heavy as their first.
That is definitely what we expect from W7M. They are here to win that major. They are here to go flawless all the way through. They do not want to lose a single map. Nor does any team. Any team wants to win every single map you can, but W7M only 1 away from going flawless in groups. So that will be their goal going up against BDS afterwards, as Space Station Gaming will take on Fury to find out how this group will end. But you'll have to wait, because those will be the last games of today. So make sure you tune in for those.
I mean, it's the kind of the energy that you want. You want every single game to matter. You want all of them up to the very end of the day to matter just as much as the ones at the start. And we have that. We have that guaranteed now, because things aren't locked in. Sure, W7M, they're at the top of the board. Nobody's catching them. They're cemented. They're in that first seed spot. And we're starting to get those teams confirmed. But there is still a lot of a game, a lot of a day, and that's it just for us for now. We'll toss to a quick break before I believe Blue and Stokes are taking over this desk.